Welcome to The Sober Gay, a podcast about being sober in the LGBT community and beyond. I'm your host, Dillan Gay, and yes, that is my last name.
Hello, Aubrey.
Hello, Dylan.
Ooh, I didn't even see you. Looking all sneaky.
What can I say? You
Ooh.
know. What are we going to be talking about today here?
Ooh, okay, so today I think it'd be kind of fun to talk about the different stages of sobriety.
Ooh, yes.
So the different points. Right now, I'm at a stage of my sobriety where I'm very confident. I don't think about drinking, honestly. I don't think about it at all. Like I go to karaoke on Tuesdays at a gay bar, and everyone's drinking, everyone's having a good time, and guess what? I'm there having a good time, and there's so many people that don't even realize I'm sober.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, "Wait a minute, you're so," like, I'll mention it casually or say like, "Oh no, I don't drink," because they'll offer me a shot or something, and I'll just say, "Oh no, I'm good. I don't drink." They're like, "Wait a minute, what are you drinking now?" And I'm like, "Water." Literally water.
All I have is water.
I know, it's a great feeling. So at this stage of my sobriety, I'm, like I said, I'm very confident. I don't have those times where I'm scared of what I could do to drown out the thoughts. I have a pretty clear grasp on who I am, what I'm about, what Dylan presents himself as.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a body living a spiritual experience trying to get into a spiritual world. I am a spirit living in a human body trying to navigate a human world. And I had to remind myself that there's a person inside of me that has always been there with me, and he's flourishing finally, and I get to do it unapologetically and just be myself now. And I'm gonna hit 2 years of sobriety
Oh my gosh.
in 2 months.
Ah!
Yeah, 2 more months and I'm at 2 years of sobriety, and it's
Has it really been 2 years?
yeah,
Wow.
I know. And it's crazy because you met me at a stage where I wasn't sober, but I was in the year of my sober curiosity beginning.
Yeah.
Because I met you in January and was sober by that December.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just like the seasons you see like the beginning pre-seasons that led into it, into that decision.
I remember the first time you asked me at work, and you were like super secret, and I thought it was hilarious that you kind of like asked me at work. You pulled me aside, and you're like, "I need to know a little bit more about this sober stuff that you're doing."
Ooh, I don't even remember that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We were. Oh my gosh, I remember the setting and everything. We were in the back by the where the grab and go window and everything, and we were right by the coffee maker and everything, and you just were like, how did you get sober? Why did you get sober? I'm starting to think about it myself.
Yeah,
And I want to say that was like the second or third month I met you. So you had been
Wow.
contemplating it for a minute.
Because I was struggling so much with weight issues in my drinking, because after 10 years of drinking every night, I was doing keto diets and things like that here and there to get that extra water weight off, but I could not keep weight off of me. I just kept ballooning up. At least once a year I would fluctuate pretty big, and then I would just, my low point of my I don't know how to say this, like where I was the lightest or healthiest, I should say, would always kind of get higher each time. So I was going up, and then I was dipping back, and I was going up, and I was dipping back, but it wasn't going all the way down.
Yeah.
I just kept getting bigger and bigger, honestly, after 10 years. And I knew that it had to be a lifestyle change if I wanted to lose any weight. And I'm not saying I got sober to lose weight. It was just one of the many factors. But I knew that it would have to be a complete lifestyle change. I didn't know what that lifestyle change would be, and I didn't end up losing any weight until maybe like the 4th or 5th month into sobriety. Because I know right when I first got sober, I was ballooning up even more, and I was like, "What the fuck?" I thought I was gonna lose weight after, but I don't know what happened when I first got off. I think I just replaced it with sugar.
I was about to say, it's a very normal thing that people actually gain weight when they first get sober.
Okay.
So yeah, I think it does have to do with, like, getting your appetite back and eating specific things and the sugar especially. It is a
Yeah.
big sugar thing.
Yeah, because I was definitely detoxing from the wine because there's so much sugar and beer and, all that.
Well, all alcohol, if you think about it, all most alcohol breaks down as sugar. So when you stop drinking alcohol, your body is like, I need
Yeah.
sugar because it's just that addiction.
Oh my god, when I was doing the keto diet and I was still drinking wine every night because I had figured out that Cabernet was 3 glasses or 3 carbs per glass. So I was like, "Oh, 3, 6, 9, 12. Okay, so 12 carbs a bottle." I would, like, save my 20 carbs for 2 bottles of wine.
Oh,
You know what I mean? Like, I would make sure I was eating, like, pepperoni and cheese throughout the day, 0 carbs all day, just so I would make sure I could spend my carb points on my wine.
mm,
And it's like, ugh, why? That's another example of how we center our lives around alcohol.
mm.
Do you know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah.
And it's just like I instead of figuring out what I could do to help myself, I was like, what could I do to keep drinking and get the results I want? Or what could I do to keep this shitty habit and get the results I want? And it's hard because you
Mhm.
can't. And it's when you are an alcoholic and you have that problem, it's always going to be there. And you can try to, bring it back or dial it back, and it's just not going to work.
Yeah.
It's moderation is a lie. It's not for people like us.
That is not for people like us at all. And eventually, even if you do start drinking again and you are handling it for a while, there's always that potential that something pushes you over that edge and you get back right to where you started.
Yeah, because the moderation always goes the same way. It's like, okay, I'm only gonna drink on weekends. And then you have a really bad Wednesday night, and you're like, "Well, you know what? I'm gonna give myself a drink night tonight on Wednesday
Mhm.
because I deserve it and it's almost the weekend." And then since you gave yourself a cheat day Wednesday, well, guess what? Next Wednesday comes around, you're like, "Well, I cheated last Wednesday. I can cheat again this Wednesday." And then you
Mhm.
start to you just throw all your rules
It's
out the
the
window.
snowball effect. A snowflake
Yep.
turns into a snowball.
Yeah, you throw away everything that you try to enforce on yourself because you're trying to parent yourself and not trying to be authentically yourself.
Mhm.
You're just trying to be a guardian of this flesh vehicle that we're driving. You're not actually experiencing it through those eyes. You're just trying to mask it.
Mm. The multiple masks of drunkenness.
Yeah. There was a part of my sobriety, I think towards the middle, where it was like pre-therapy, but post pink cloud. And I was like, just very confused. That was, as I said, before therapy, that was before I got on, my antidepressants, and it was after I had kind of gotten off of the high of, like, "I'm sober, I got this." There was a weird time I was pretty dark, and I remember, I had a friend, one of my dear friends come over, and I lost it. I was like I just had a dark moment, I was crying, I was like, "I don't understand, like, I try to better myself, and no one loves me, and I'm never gonna find a boyfriend, and I don't understand why I'm so fucked up in the head. I'm
Mm.
over I'm not thinking about alcohol, but there's something inside of me that's missing that I can't fucking find any happiness." And I was like just stuck. And it was probably like the fall time 2020. I was just so stuck and I felt like I was walking through mud and the mud was just me. Like I was just trying to get through myself and
Mm.
just trenching through.
I feel that so much. You're just stuck.
Yeah.
Your body is like it is. It's literally just glue and wherever you're at, it doesn't want to do anything.
And
And
you
you
just wanna
just
rest, and then you feel lazy because all you're doing is resting, and we're so programmed to think that we have to be go, 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 when really our body's like, "You're healing. We're just kinda catching up to this lifestyle change that you've made," because your body takes a minute. It's almost like whiplash.
Mhm.
You reap the sows you see in 3 seasons. So, like,
Mhm.
when I started the sobriety and then 3 seasons in and you're like, "Well, this is these are the seeds that I've sown and this is what I'm growing now."
Mm.
It was kinda like I had to my seed had to burst through that layer of mud.
It was like concrete almost.
Yeah.
It was like,
Yeah.
"Hey, I know we can do this, but we're just gonna make it as difficult as possible right now
Yeah.
because." It does. It feels like you get hit by a bus.
Yeah, and therapy and, getting on my SSRI and doing my blood dumps for my hemochromatosis and just doing all the things that my body was asking for, then I was able to kinda start with a fresh slate,
Mm,
and then moving into that stage of sobriety where I did all the shadow work and I did all the therapy and learn and I shouldn't say did all the therapy as if I'm done, I still do it.
mhm.
I'm still active in therapy just to, because we're never done working on ourselves. We're
It's
always gonna
true.
be correcting these false narratives that we've written in our brains that we've just always held on to so
Mm,
dear that we just have to let go. Once I was in that stage of sobriety, the letting go, and I just kind of, finally dug myself out of the mud, and I was doing everything my body was asking for. I was feeding my body what it was asking for, eating when I was hungry instead of eating at specific times. I was just
mhm.
doing everything my body was really just begging for years. And I
Mm,
remember telling someone, when they were asking about my sobriety, and I was like, "I'm the person that I always pretended to be, but now I am that person." Like, I used to always be the drunk alcoholic that was like, "Oh, yeah, I meditate, but I could never fully get there." And I would always be that drunk alcoholic that went into yoga, but I never really understood. I never really
mhm.
got it. I was doing the motions. And I would post a picture of my juice on my Snapchat story, you know what I mean? And then go drown out a bottle of wine that night, you know?
Yeah.
Now I wake up, have my juice, I don't feel a need to document it. I just do all these things that I always just glamorized before that I never thought I would be able to attain,
Mhm.
you know?
Oh, yeah, I did that on my bike. I loved when I could be like, "I'm drunk and riding my bike right now. Ha
Oh my
ha."
god, were you a Snapchat slut when you were
Uh,
drunk?
I was
Me
all
too.
the time. I loved sending people snaps of
Oh,
what I was doing. I wanted them to think that I was the coolest kid in town.
yeah, I think back now and I'm like, "God, they just everyone knew."
Cringe.
Yeah, it's so cringe.
Cringe worthy for sure. I do not I look back on some of those things and I was like, "Why did I do that?"
Yeah, and then you're like, "What in the world?" And you have to delete things the next day, and you're like, "Oh
Mhm.
my god." I still see some of my Snapchat memories, and I look at them, and I just kinda giggle. Like, there was a part of my sobriety, one of the stages, I couldn't look back on those things. It would have made me either triggered or just really embarrassed or just cringe. But now I'm at a point when I watch those, I'm just so thankful that I have a second
Don't gotta
opportunity in
do that
life.
anymore.
Yes, exactly. I'm just so happy that I got to experience all of that for my life experience, and I'm in a different chapter.
Mhm.
Like, it's the same book, it's my life, where it's all the same book, but I'm just in a different chapter.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in the upkeep stage right now for myself. Like, I'm just in a place where I've gotten everything I needed. I've gotten everything that I have, like, for sobriety, and I know what I need to do, but now it's applying that to every aspect of my life
Mm,
because I do believe that being sober is not just being sober, but it is the lifestyle of, like, choosing how you're going to live each day, and
mm,
for me, um, there are still things that I do personally that embody my old drunk self. And it's really just like remembering like that's not who you are anymore and being like, okay, let's pull this back. Let's change that because you don't need to be that person anymore. You can be this new person, this new in this new
yeah,
chapter. And I guess for me it's not I it's kind of just this continuation that's gonna happen. It's just noticing those small things that are still buried because I do believe as alcoholics we carry it goes back to our inner child. We carry that inner child with us and it's
mm,
going to be there forever and it's always going to kind of be younger than where we are physically.
yeah,
And so I will always have to kind of look back at myself like right now as someone who is like 20, 21, 22, as opposed to someone who's 29. Oh my god, I'm not
yeah.
29 yet. Ah!
Yeah.
Not
I
yet.
get that though, because I feel like we've talked about it before, like, when you get sober, you're almost snapped back into the brain that you had before you started using.
Mhm.
And, oh, yeah, I definitely feel that. I feel 20 years old a lot of the time, and I feel like that music that I listened to at that time of my life is so it just hits differently. It's nostalgic on a different level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, yeah, I love listening I love listening to old music that I listened to
yeah.
when I was drunk because it's just like this song made me feel this type of way when I was drunk, but now I know why I felt that way.
Yeah. And it's just like cool just because I can listen to it in a different way now than I would have before. And I
Mhm.
can appreciate songs differently. I appreciate music differently. I just have a appreciation for everything now, I would
Yeah.
say. Like I look at the world with different eyes. I see the trees for what they are. I see the leaves. I hear the breeze. It's just more my senses are open.
Yeah, yeah, you're not blocking out half the stuff that reminds you or like drinking
Yeah.
does. Like, I mean, for me, drinking, it's like, yeah, you block out your hearing, you block out your thought, you block out everything else because that's just what happens when you black out.
Yeah, and you see, like we said, like Maurice and I said in the last episode, when you're drinking, you can see another entity come over your body and take over that person's body. The eyes will go, they don't remember anything the next day. So, like, who's in control at that
Mm,
point? Like, that's there. It's not you that's in control anymore. And like I said earlier, we're spiritual beings living a human experience. It's not the other way around. We're not human beings living a spiritual experience. It's we are, our essence is inside of us. So when we drink, I you can just literally see that little like, like just fog out of them and flow out of them, you know what I mean?
I did. You just watch people. You watch people kind of slowly.
Deteriorate. Yeah.
Yeah, seriously though, it is. It's like that. Like and it's almost like it's one drink, and like most people are okay, but it's like usually that second drink when you just start seeing that like slow, like just
Yeah.
like
A
everything
little
just
flush.
flies, like slowly sagging down. Things are,
Yep.
and then they start saying some like kind of idiotic stuff
Or really lovey-dovey stuff.
or really lovey dovey, and it's like
Yeah.
okay,
Yep, they're there.
yes.
I can tell someone now after one drink. I can tell the change in them, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I could see it, yeah. And I think about it on dates a lot now, like when I'll go on a date with a guy and he'll have a drink, and I could just tell how he becomes so much more. I shouldn't say everyone, but I can tell some of them become so much more relaxed after, like, that first sip, and I just kept thinking I think to myself of, like, how I had to tell myself that it wasn't that first sip feeling's always inside of me,
Mm-hmm.
and I can tap into that happiness whenever I want,
Mm-hmm.
and whenever I want that first sip feeling, I can tap into it.
It's true.
But I still see people that are, bound by the alcohol, and they're just stuck.
It's a way to easily figure out something without having to figure out something. It's a temporary fix.
Yeah, a temporary
We love
fix.
that in America. We love our
Mm,
temporary fixes.
God, don't we? Yeah, it's like doing the therapy and doing the work on ourselves, that hard stuff, it seems so intimidating and so like, where do I begin?
Mhm.
But just know that, you know, if you're curious about doing shadow work, you're already starting the shadow work. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, if you're just wondering about if there's something inside of you that could make you happier, you're already beginning to crumble away the rocks and see what's hidden beneath, all the treasures inside of you,
Mm. Mm.
you
All
know?
the treasures inside of you.
And I have a lot of treasures in my hole.
Ooh, wee. He got some pearls.
Aubrey, if people wanna see our pearls, what website can they go to?
They can go to the sober gay dot com.
Oh my god, and if they wanna send us a pearly email, where can they send those pearls?
You all should go to the sober gay at gmail.com.
Yes, and we have Instagram to look at our pearly whites.
Oh, it is the Sober Gay
The
Podcast.
Sober Gay Podcast.
We're back in the 60s now.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. Okay, until next time,
Stay
stay
sober,
sober, girl.
girl.